training camp is off and running, and so are we here on Colts Talk presented by Prize Picks. Boy, is there a ton to talk about. Just one day in, and yet we have a lot to recap, get your opinion on. I'm going to give my opinion, everything happening with the Indianapolis Colts. That's how we do it here on Colts Talk. A quick reminder and a quick shout out to our latest subscribers. We got Zoot, RTY12, Matt Money, Seth Boss, and William. They're getting Colts content, training camp content, for free. All they had to do, just like that, hit that sub button. We got a new subscriber here as well. Don't miss out on anything Colts training camp. You'll get it for free when you subscribe. We've got good news here on Colts Talk. Day one of training camp is done. We got a lot of good news coming out of it. And I will say, really, extra great because other teams kind of had their own situation going on with injuries, with issues, with fighting. I mean, even day one, teams are having issues. So for the Colts to come out of day one and for it to all be good news, I think that's something to celebrate and feel good about and sit back and relax while we talk about what happened in day one. Let's start with Johnathan Taylor. We told you guys to be monitoring if Johnathan Taylor would hold in or hold out or whatever he would do. A looming contract, or not looming anymore, I guess. His contract situation is here. He was at Colts training camp today in attendance. He was participating in training camp, all the drills, all the starters, running with the ones. Everything for JT was good. Plus, after he said, I have faith that things are moving in the right direction as far as his contract goes. Now, Chris Ballard's been positive about it. He's been positive about it. Have to feel good about Johnathan Taylor and his contract situation in general. No hold-in was big for the Colts and Johnathan Taylor. You have to feel that way, mainly and especially because there were other examples within the league of guys staging hold-ins or not participating in practice, specifically, comparatively, Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. Other running backs looking for contracts. What are they doing today? Not working with their team. It brings a confidence. It brings a comfortableness, a familiarity for the other players to have the guys out there. Taylor, one of them, and just in general, would have been a bit of a distraction to have him in this situation, a part of a hold-in, right? Why is he out? What's going on? How long is he going to be out? All of those things were going to be a part of this if he wasn't at practice today and participating, which he was, which is a good thing. However, at this point in time, I do want to ask you guys, how confident are you in a Johnathan Taylor extension? Do you think it will get done? What you want to do right now, scale it for me, 1 to 10. How confident are you? 10, it'll get done. 1, you're not too sure. Your feeling on a Johnathan Taylor extension. More good news. I know earlier this week, we had Alec Pierce put on the active PUP list. That means while he's not going to practice, he can still do drills and work things out and do things on the side. Pierce was seen doing that with Reggie Wayne, working out on the side with Reggie Wayne. This is a very, very good thing for the Indianapolis Colts. Their star wide receiver, giant contract coming off of that, right? Then they slap him on the PUP list. That stunk. That was bad. We didn't like that. Plus, then you got word from Chris Ballard that as far as a return would go, Pierce was going to need a week or two to get back on the field. So, essentially, Alec Pierce, you've got this timeline going after. By the way, all of this after he signs a gigantic contract. That's part of this. The first thing is he's trying to avoid surgery. We're talking about the timeline here. So he's trying to avoid surgery. Nope, he ends up having to get surgery. Then it's 3 months. Nope, actually it's going to be 4 or 5 months. Then he'll be ready for, training camp, ? Nope, not ready for training camp. Then we get into training camp, it's going to be a week or two. It's been all bad news with the Alec Pierce timeline here as far as his injury goes. But I'm feeling now pretty confident and at least feeling good at this point in time. I know Colts Nation kind of needed this, right? A lot of people overreacted to the injury to begin training camp. So for A, Chris Ballard to be like, hey, it's only going to be a week or two, and then B, you get the opportunity where, you get the reports that he's working out during practice. All good for Alec Pierce paired with Johnathan Taylor to start things off for the Indianapolis Colts. Today's show is presented by America's #1 sports picks app. That is the Prize Picks app. Right now on Prize Picks, they have the social feeds feature. If you haven't seen it yet, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. That includes me and producer AP. All you have to do is follow us on Prize Picks, tailor fade our picks, and get the picks before they even get posted on the show. You can give me a follow at Billy_BB or Aiden a follow at CSAP. P, here's a 3-pick power play to check out. I copied this from my buddy Harrison. Angel Reese, we're thinking points, rebounds combined, more on 24.5 in Atlanta versus Dallas. AZ Fudd, more on 3-pointers made at 1.5. And Paige Becker's more on 19.5 points. You pick the names, you pick the stats, and then go more or less on Prize Picks. Plus, right now they have their new user offer. You play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. Just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right. Prize Picks just switched up their offer, so there's no better time to join. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA to sign up and get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Let's keep the good news, the good vibes rolling. Let's keep going here on Colts Talk. Training camp is underway. And again, I'm loving this because other teams have injuries. They've got fights. They've got hold-ins. They've got bad news to start things off. Colts, a lot of good stuff. The secondary impressing on day one. They were one of the storylines coming out of Colts training camp. I think this is pretty interesting because, where's a lot of your focus? Injuries, A, B on the offense in Daniel Jones, right? How healthy is he and what's going on with him and some other stuff happening there. But Shane Steichen throwing a little shout out when asked overall about day one of Indianapolis Colts training camp. Shane Steichen had to go to the secondary. He said, Sauce, and whether you call him Charvarius or Mooney, that seems to be a more popular now more than ever, calling him Mooney Ward, making plays out there for Indianapolis. This is a very big thing, and I'm asking Colts Nation for permission to label Sauce and Charvarius Ward the gruesome twosome. That's what I want to name these guys on defense for the Colts. I have a lot of faith in these two dudes. I think the Colts are pretty deep in the secondary, and I think one of the reasons is you start with Sauce and you start with Ward. Those two give you a good 1-2 punch on the outside. Now, there's something to be said about Justin Walley at nickel and or Mitchell or Blackmon or whoever they do end up deciding to go with at cornerback for the Colts. I think that's going to be interesting. But in general, I'm feeling very confident about Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward, both as veterans, playmakers, and just a good overall 1-2, gruesome 1-2, for the Indianapolis Colts. We'll see on Justin Walley. We'll continue to kind of keep an eye on both that competition and his adjustment. Didn't hear anything good or bad for Walley, but you like that start. I will also note, safety-wise, predicted, yes, Cam Bynum was running with the ones. Interesting enough, Hunter Wohler was paired with him at safety today. A guy similar, to some other injuries around Justin Walley. Wohler coming off his own injury, but looks like he's the other starter at this point in time, in the secondary. Again, we're one day into training camp, maybe something different the next camp, next practice. Colts are deep in the secondary, though. This wasn't overly surprising to me just because of the amount of names and experience that the Colts do have in the secondary. Wohler was a good option, right? You also have Walley Thomas, Johnathan Owens. Of course, A.J. Halsey is who we predicted would be a starter. Think you could see a rotation here, is how I'm starting to feel. Bynum plus who, right? That's the question. And again, the Colts made a ton of moves at safety. They added a ton of names. So if they do run a rotation, I wouldn't be mad. I'm feeling pretty good about the group they have there. I still think A.J. Halsey would probably be my prediction to start opposite Cam Bynum. But again, Hunter Wohler out there a little bit. Walley Thomas and Johnathan Owens can be a little versatile. They have more experience in the NFL than A.J. Halsey does. We need to keep an eye on the secondary here going forward. Is it going to be Cam Bynum and Wohler? Halsey, Bynum going forward? Who's it going to be, with Bynum in that group set order? But, it's kind of a bonus because, again, I think it's a deep group to pair with Cam Bynum in general. What would an episode of Colts Talk be without a mention or talk of Anthony Richardson? Yeah, buddy, that's right. Anthony Richardson, the reports coming out of Colts training camp today is that Anthony Richardson is QB2 right now. There were also multiple reports like when the second team offense was out there, Anthony Richardson was the one running that group. So I know some of you believe in Riley Leonard and think Riley Leonard's going to get a shot. Seems like AR is the guy on the second team as of right now. Should be mentioned, we got the news yesterday. Chris Ballard said, Anthony Richardson's, yes, the trade request is still on the table. He has yet to say, don't trade me. I'm happy. It's working out, so on and so forth. no, he said still on the table. Also said by Ballard that I think is notable. He mentioned that they're not going to trade him for nothing. They're not going to trade him just because. If they trade Anthony Richardson, it's going to be for something. So we know right now Richardson, running with the twos, trade on the table, not going to be traded for nothing. That's kind of your AR update at this point in time. Didn't want to gauge how you're feeling about Anthony Richardson. We kind of moved past the trade situation after a while now. He really hasn't created any extra drama. Do you still want the Colts to trade Anthony Richardson? Should the Colts trade AR? Type T for trade him. Type T for pass. Let us know what you think in the comments section. Some of you may be disappointed by this news. I know some of you may be Riley Leonard people and really felt like, I know we read the Steichen quote or the reports that it was 50-50 coming out of, the mini camps and OTAs and all that they did. I think he deserves to be quarterback 2 right now. Not only coming out of that trade request, Richardson hasn't done anything wrong after that. He's come to everything, participated in everything. No reports that he's in bad shape. He has experience as a starter. He has experience as a backup. Makes sense for him to be the Colts' backup quarterback at this point in time. I should note, my belief is still the Colts/the league will trade for Anthony Richardson. Trades, it'll come if injuries happen. Injuries around the NFL could spark a trade. I'll give you a great example. Earlier today, the Atlanta Falcons, Tua and Michael Penix out with injuries. Penix could be up to 4 weeks. They made some moves pretty quickly. I believe it was Cooper Rush Atlanta signed to be their guy at this point in time. Team gets in that scenario. They're not feeling good about one or both those guys getting healthy. Next thing you know, we could see Anthony Richardson be traded.